Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Cap or No Cap. I am your host, Kevin C. Meggett. I'm here today with a very special guest, former Assemblyman, Mr. Eric Stevenson, for those who don't know who he is. Welcome, brother.
Yes,
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump right into it. Today's, I normally don't date the show, but today's Halloween. And this country is really going through some real life spooky stuff, bro.
Yeah, so much. Just hope the children be careful on examining that candies that they're getting out there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sick people in this world doing a lot of things. And the mothers are so eager to get them to have it, but I hope they inspect it.
You know, when I was a single father, so when Halloween would come around, I never allowed my kids to go to.
But we did it when we was younger, but my mother made sure she always treated it.
I would go, brother, and I would go get maybe 4 or 5-pound bags of candy and say, here.
Give it out.
No, I'll give it to them.
Oh, well, I was just talking to my friend about that.
I was already expected.
I was just talking to my friend that on our drive over here. I was like, look, you know, they should just go buy a couple of bags of mixed candy, mix it and say, here's your Halloween.
Right.
You're happy and satisfied the same way, and you're safe.
Absolutely.
You know,
they got the variety packs.
Yeah, the mixed stuff. Yeah.
I would get, and it comes in a big bag, and it's like 5 pounds. And I would buy like 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah,
man.
that's it.
Like I spent like $125, and
That's a lot of candy.
yeah, it's a lot of candy.
That's a lot
I mean,
of candy.
believe it or not, I didn't let them eat it all at one time. I would just let them. It would be there all the way to the holidays.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
We
you have a
like
bowl.
5-pound bags.
Just have a bowl, and I would put it in there. You know, so. So let's talk about what's going on in the world. Let's talk about what's going on globally. I don't know if you know this, but did you know China has a police station in Manhattan?
Chinese government?
The Chinese government has a police station in Times Square. We don't. America doesn't have an American police station in China. How do you feel about that?
It's first I'm hearing that. I would definitely like to know more about that. Does it have actually a Chinese police presence there, or is it monitored or works in conjunction with NYPD?
I don't know. It's very under wrap because we.
And what's the purpose of it?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It would be that's a very odd situation, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard that, but I would definitely like to know more about that. What would be the purpose of it, and then who has total control? If China has total control in our country like that, that would be really surprising to me. And I want to know who initiated it, under what president did that happen.
Right, but we talk about we have so many things that are going on, like. To me, that's a national security concern.
Yeah, that's why I'm
at
asking
a bare minimum.
Question. That's why I'm asking.
I really want to say it's a national security threat.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is it working? Is it monitored? Is it supervised by NYPD? Are they on their own? Undermining America? I don't know.
I have no idea, which is going to lead me to the next thing I'm going to tell you. Off the coast of Alaska, I think 2 weeks ago, there was a Chinese and a Russian battleship right off the coast of Alaska. So we're sitting around and we're fighting over. I wouldn't say things that don't make sense, but we're fighting over things but there's a bigger picture being introduced that we don't know nothing about. Like that was right off the coast of Alaska. That's pretty much American waters.
American territory, yeah.
You're in American waters right now,
Pretty much, yeah.
showing a presence. And I believe that at the end of the day, you know, this is all set up and designed to make America a third world country. This is just my opinion, because we don't manufacture or produce anything, but we consume everything. We're the consumers of everything. So even with the Russian Chinese ship being off the coast of Alaska, we need to start. I would love to see our people more engaged when it comes to national security, global affairs, because we don't know our foreign the regular American don't know our America's foreign policy or where we stand, but especially us. And we need to really understand it to know how to fit into this. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
I agree. Definitely, we need to be more educated on this thing and have an input, not just to be educated, but to be involved and have an input, and not just let our government hijack our thoughts and ideas and do what they want to do, because it's an effect that we have to live with.
That's right.
You know, so that's why we will always hope that our Congress people and senators engage in the right thing for the American people, what's correct. You know, and would make sense, you know.
Speaking of, I mean, what's the House looking like, the Senate and the House in terms of Republicans and Democrats?
Look, this the midterm elections time. We're gonna know next week. You only could cross your fingers and hope that the Dems take it for now. Even though we need to clean out some of the Democrats who claims to be Democrats, but act other than Democrat.
Like AOC.
Well, but But
like AOC. I mean, like I'm still scratching my head. Like she has never passed one single piece of legislation. Why is she even in office?
Because they're not going to allow her. They're going to always try to stop her from passing legislation, because the way she just strongholds her way into Congress and figures they created a separate faction in the Congress with a few of them, even though some of their issues in their agenda make sense for us, but you know, I guess they may have their own motives or whatever the case may be.
See,
I'm talking about the other Democrats.
I get it, but I question a lot of the social Democrats in their agenda, because they want to give you everything. Yeah, we deserve free school, we deserve everything, and then when you hit them with And this was my issue with Bernie Sanders. When you hit them with, okay, how are you going to pay for it? Then they start babbling.
Yeah, because it sounds good to say something that people like to hear.
Right.
You know.
Okay, now how much?
When you say where is that?
Right.
You never get to see it.
Right.
You know, because exactly what you're saying. How's it going to be paid for?
Right. And then
Where's
it's
the
like,
money going to come from?
Then you start talking in a circle.
So he says, oh, well, we're going to tax the corporations.
Right.
Right? Is the taxing the corporations going to be enough money to do all that you're saying?
Right.
I doubt it, unless you plan on taking the possessions of all the corporations, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, to me, liberals and conservatives is a two. You know the difference between the two?
Tell me.
The way they practice white supremacy racism. It's a two-headed coin. They're both racist in their practices. It's their method is different. That's the only difference.
We have a lot of minorities in the Democratic Party, and this is what I'm saying. Like, what's going on? This is why there's a call and a cry now for the need of a third party.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it's always been a need for that.
If you listen to like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had said, he said, the heck with the Republican Party, the heck with the Democrat, create a new party and call it Justice or Else.
Right.
You know, and that's, I mean, bottom line, when he had
I
said
really
that,
love
when
the
I heard him
minister,
say
too.
it, I said, well, you know, this makes sense, because the justification of it is that Democrats have bamboozled us, Republicans, of course. Same thing. So there was no party for the rich, for the poor, period.
Right.
And especially when they did say, oh, we help the poor, there was nothing specifically set aside for black people. You know, it's been a shame. It's been 400 years of lies It's been so many hundreds of years of storytelling and promises, but you know when they say the jig is up,
It's up.
jig is up.
Yeah, it is.
The consciousness of people's minds
It's waking up. It's woke actually.
And
more
now
than,
people are now pulling out of the Democratic Party because not that they dislike them, because they want to teach them a lesson. Like either you're going to get this straight and do right by us, or now we coming out.
Well, I feel all foundational Black Americans should pull out of it.
Well, it's leading to that. That's why you get a low participation and turn out and votes now.
Right.
You ask the average voter, it's because it doesn't make.
And
difference.
you know what I think is real janky with they treat us. It is so, and this is my issue with the Democrats. Like they treat us so janky. You see the incentives they give us to get to the polls, like catfish nuggets and the commercials, the stripper commercials of get your booty to the poll, and it's just this is what they think of us. That's why I'm glad to say I'm a registered independent. I do not vote on party lines. I vote on issues, and if there's no issue that pertains to me, I'll abstain. I have that right too. So people say, "Oh, well, if you don't vote, you can't complain." I complain all I want. I still pay taxes.
Always can complain. Yes.
I pay taxes. So whether I want. The other thing is if 54 million Black people said tomorrow, I'm gonna sit this one out. I ain't gonna vote. There's no issue for me. There's nothing on the table pertaining to me. I'm gonna just leave this one. Let them, good luck. Let the Democrats figure this one. There'll be an issue or an agenda. I think to just say I'm gonna vote blindly for someone that just has not done anything, you don't have any leverage with your vote. You could even just say, hey, let me think about who I'm gonna vote for. Because then that's where the leverage comes from. But if they know, hey, we got these folks, we ain't gotta do nothing. And that was always my issue with former President Obama. He did nothing let's be clear, he did nothing for Black people.
Yeah, we expected more. And,
we didn't ask him for nothing. And that's what he gave us. We just assumed that he was going to do right by us. We didn't. And anytime he was in trouble, all he did he would get up there, sing a little Al Green, and make the headlines. But that was just we voted really, honestly, we voted for President Obama not because of him, but we voted for him based off of his wife. We based off of Michelle. So yeah. I digress. I don't even know why we still pay attention to party lines. We should start paying attention.
I agree.
I
say we should go to a third party. That's what the solution is, a third party. And we can't put our hope and our wish in politics resolving our problems. Politics is not going to resolve all our problems. It will help us with social issues, with policies, et cetera, maybe with educational issues, et cetera, but our problems rely in our hands, and us being able to unite and be together more unified, being able to have some land where we can start to grow our own foods, whereas we avoid all these other foods that's killing us off through cancer, et cetera, that's sprayed with all types of chemicals and whatever else is on them. And we need to be able to build our own schools where we can educate our own children free of this brainwashed education that they're using for them. That's why many of those, the wealthy or those who have high incomes, are taking their children out and they don't put them into these schools.
Right.
They put them in better schools where you have teachers who's teaching better curriculums, et cetera, where they could get better educated. But what about us? What about young Black children, Latino children? They have their fighters for them, doing what they have to do. But the young Blacks, they come out of schools at 8th grade, 9th grade, don't even know who some of the Black leaders were who did so much in this country. They can't even tell you who was Frederick Douglass. They can't tell you who was George Washington Carver. They're hearing the Malcolm X thing as they get to college because they're required to study it or to read the book in Black studies classes, right? But what about all the other great input we had in this
Right.
country? You know, what about, like I said, George Washington Carver, who created the peanut? With peanut butter that sells today, do they know it came from a black man?
Right.
Does it know it was invented by a black man?
Right.
And everything else. The
Right.
cell phone, and so many other things. You know, there's a book called Black Inventors that will blow people's mind.
I've read it.
To know what it what entails, what black people have done and contributed to this country. So we need a better educational system. The politicians, at least who represent us, should be trying to incorporate this better through the education department. They say, oh, you should teach that at home. So you know what? We should have new schools. We should abandon those public schools, let the government keep them, because they don't care about them. That's why all the charter schools are forming and all these
Yes.
other private schools are forming, because they're failing our children. So we can't fail them. We should come to that together collectively and start to create our own schools of education.
You know who respectfully I thought could have started a third party with just a snap of the finger, but he didn't. He just didn't do it.
Who's that?
Reverend Al Sharpton, National Action Network, because they're so
He could have.
they're global.
Definitely.
Not
Could
global. They're
National,
national.
yeah, he
right.
could have.
So that could
He
have been
still can.
well. I don't think he's interested. I think, you know, respectfully, no shade, but I think he's more into the television. He wants to be a CNBC host more than he wants to be.
I guess he's figuring he missed the boat on that. And
Right.
He's saying, well, let me do it through advocacy of my national organization instead of creating voting party. He could do
Man
this.
could have been a third party.
They could have been.
Easy.
It could have been.
The work was right there. It would have really required very little to no work. How do you feel?
But maybe he didn't want to buck the Democratic Party, you know?
Could be.
Maybe he was too, I don't know. Maybe he was
I
too
believe
invested with
he's too
Democratic-
invested with
Too
them.
invested with Democratic
Right.
leaders, you
Right.
know? So I don't know what.
Because what happens usually with a third party, because they've tried with what they had, what was it called, the Working Party?
Working family.
Working Family? But then
But they
at some
become
point,
national now.
yeah, but at some point, what happens is when you become a third party, it's like a monopoly, man. One of them are going to eat it. They're going to say, okay, well, we got to get this third party on our side, you know. So it as it pertains to this is always what I contend, and we're going to take a real quick commercial break. Foundational Black Americans, because I've been beating that drum forever. I've been beating that drum. I've been beating the veteran drum. Veterans really deserve much more. The only group of people that deserve more than veterans are the people that built this country, or the descendants of the people that built this country for nothing, for no pay. So I got the best of both worlds because my family's from Charleston. I know I look Hispanic, but I'm not. You know, but those are the two groups I think need to really just kind of be put into a protective class. You know, and if we're in a protective class like Indians, we would be able to achieve. The whole system of white supremacy is built off of keeping.
Well, what happened to reparations?
No, well, we were still speaking of reparations. We'll come back on that because we're going to take a commercial break. But speaking of the whole system of white supremacy, and I'm going to end on this, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. The whole system of white supremacy is built on keeping the black man and the black woman apart, and they do a really good job.
It destroys the family.
It destroys the family nucleus. But we're going to jump right back into that as soon as we come back. Cap or no cap, my special guest, former Assemblyman Eric Stevenson. We'll be right back, right after this commercial break.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
We back. Cap or no cap. Before we went to, got to pay the bills, take that real quick commercial break. But before we went on commercial break, you talking about reparations.
Yes.
Did you know that there's a reparation rally on November 5th?
I'm hearing that, yes.
I'll be down in Washington, D.C. on the 5th. Yes. And it's going to be so busy because I got this veteran breakfast that I'm going to on the 6th. And then from there, I'm shooting off to Atlantic City. Wow. You know what I mean? But we gotta keep on these people's bumper about reparations, man. Like
I would be there. I just had a long life friend just had a heart attack and died.
Oh wow!
And they buried him on the 5th of November.
These are just rallies, so there's going to be more.
No, there'll be more. But we've been involved. We've been supporting that over the time.
But I've been following, I've been very loyal to the whole FBA movement, Foundational Black American Movement. Mm-hmm. There's no real leader.
I don't see much information being put out about that. That's what's surprising to me.
Well, it's not a million-man march per se, or not like that.
Yeah, but they need some more social media people.
Of course, they're gonna. That's controlled. Social media. Yeah. So they're not going to put something out that's going to potentially benefit us. Right. But there's organizations out there, and there's radio podcasts like Tariq Nasheed. Shout out to him. Yeah. Shout out to our brother Tariq. I think he does outstanding work, man. He has a radio. TariqRadio.com or something like that. And
the Hidden Colors.
Right. The Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors was a hit. And no one talks about the fact that he's opened the door for so many other people to do documentaries on. That's a real good brother.
It's incredible how he came up with the information that he put into that series. Right. The Hidden Colors from part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't see 5. Was it good?
5 was outstanding. Yeah, really? I have it. Next time I see you, I'll give it to you.
I need to see that one. Yeah.
So
it blew my mind.
And I purchased them all. None of them was ever. I never bootlegged the man's work because I do film and I do television as well, and I wouldn't want my
I would be supportive too.
I supported all of his works. But he'll be out there. He was the one that initially, it was Dr. Claude Anderson. Now, the funny thing, I've been following Dr. Claude Anderson when I was in the military, when I was in the Navy. So like 89, 90.
Yeah, he's done some pretty good work too.
I started following the brother. So when he brought him out, I knew who Dr. Claude Anderson was.
He was good.
You know what I mean? Dr. Claude Anderson first came up, coined the name Native Black Americans. But when you hashtag it, right, it's NBA. So it gets misconstrued with the basketball, right?
Yeah, because know why. Yeah.
So what Tariq did was he said, well, we're going to be Foundational Black Americans, FBA. And so, a lot of people try to say,
he's the one
He's the first one that used the term so many years ago.
I like the name.
We are the foundation. We are the foundation of this country.
True natives.
Right.
First original natives.
Right. So, the brother's very good, man. But before we jump into a federal level, was the Ukraine. How do you feel about that?
Look, I feel that war is unjust wherever it may go on at, unless there's a real need for it. If you're attacked, you got it in self-defense, etc. Then what could you do? There's justification, and there's a rightful justification. I never want to say, it's good to see that you say that women were blown up, children were blown up, innocent people, schools, hospitals. I can't be supportive of saying I like to see
human suffering, right?
So, but I'm looking at the other pictures. Say, if we can aid them, if it's an ally of America, you want to aid, fine. But my thing is, it's funny when it comes to race, because all of the times when Africa was in need of the government, America's help, and Uganda and all these other places where millions were killed, Rwanda, America turned its back. You know, I remember Bill Clinton went to, I think, Rwanda, one of those places, and he was getting on the plane, and or when he was getting off the plane, there was a crowd of people there in Africa, and they told him, "Why don't you go back home?" You know, so he said he felt bad when they said that to him, because he says, "Why?" And they said, "Because you, on your watch, you stood while 8 million of our people was executed." You know, and we pleaded for help, and nobody came to help. You know, and he said he felt bad because he wished America would have intervened more so after learning of the massacre that's happened, right? But my thing is this: yes, Ukrainians are Europeans, whites, etc., what they are, but I'm saying, why can't we play this game rightfully? Why can't we play this game righteously? Why can't we play it fairly? What happened to the whole continent of Africa? If you look at the foreign aid that comes from the American government out of Congress that goes to Africa, the whole continent gets X amount of dollars compared to some simple countries that get more aid than the whole continent of Africa.
Right.
Why is that? Because they're influenced? Because of what? So we're not playing the fair game here. And it goes back to racism. They don't want Africa to rise. They don't want the upliftment of Africa, but they want the resources. They take their diamonds, they'll take their rubies, they'll take their oil and everything else and make their money wealthy and rich. If you look at how the Moors in Spain, how they civilized and gave light to Spain, you know?
Sure.
But yet, what do they get out of it at the end of the day? You know,
Well, yeah,
Spain's a great civilization.
but if you go to Morocco, right, you would think you're still in Europe. Morocco
yeah.
does not look like Africa.
No, because
they took it over.
yeah. So I'm just saying,
they're an invading class. My issue with the Ukraine is,
and then the monies.
yeah,
How much monies? 80 billion plus billion.
and that's what I was getting ready to go after. America's taking care of Ukraine at the expense of bankrupting America.
Yeah.
And we're being neglected. And it's the same thing, respectfully, with the migrants that walked into New York. Well, that walked into wherever they came from in Florida and in California, and they were bused here.
Yeah.
I fight tooth and nail for resources for homeless veterans. Homeless veterans is a major issue.
It's wrong.
In not only New York City, but in America. Period.
It's wrong.
And there should not be. We could wag our finger at our adversaries, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. But you know what? None of them have a veteran homeless crisis.
That's true.
And so, those hypocrites down in Washington, and the biggest is Biden himself, they're not doing anything. There's nothing specific put in place for veterans. There's nothing specific. New York City, and I challenged the city recently, New York City wants to be veteran friendly, according to
They want to be? Don't you think they should have been a long time ago?
They're like, we want to be veteran friendly, according to the mayor from the but if in order to be veteran friendly, the first thing you have to do is something specific for a veteran. Now, what does something specific look like? Something specific look like
First, get them into some housing.
New York City veteran housing. That's
right.
something specific.
That's great.
That makes that, to me.
And
now
get them some counseling.
Right.
Get them some caseworkers in there. A lot is going through a lot of psychological, emotional issues
Absolutely.
from what's going on. A lot's been kicked to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
They need help.
Sure.
You know, when I was in the New York State Assembly, I was on the Veterans Committee. And, whenever it came to something, a vote or something of crafting legislation for veterans, I would make sure it was to the extreme in helping veterans.
Right.
And I even in my office gave free space to the Veteran Administration to have their workers there do casework for veterans.
Right.
I didn't charge them any rent or anything, and I put it in my office.
Right.
So
but that's something specific.
No, but
But that's what I'm trying to say.
That was my thing,
and that was you as
veterans. Here,
that's you as an individual. The city of New York has got to move in a similar way.
And they have the money to do it.
But that's very interesting what you just said, because I said to them, I started to speak about what something specific looked like. I said a half price Metro card reduction in fare.
Of course.
That's something specific.
Yeah, I agree.
I pay on the bus and train every day. I don't hop the train and bus. I pay.
Agree.
So they have what is it costing them an MTA to do that for a veteran who
they should have
a
certain places set up throughout the city where veterans could go in the afternoon to get a hot meal for lunch. Hot meal
veteran. If you want to be veteran friendly, you have to be veteran specific. So I said when I raised the question, I was at the Bronx Borough President's Veterans Fair.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the city of New York about this, and they said, "Well, where are we going to get the money?" And I said, "Wherever you got the money to build, wherever you got the money to build them tents for the migrants." At that time, it was at Orchard Beach.
They make a priority whatever they want
to make a priority of, right?
Just like they found the $80 billion to give to Ukraine,
right?
But so the crisis that's in our country with homelessness, with poor schools, is not a crisis,
right?
So you complain there's no money, but yet when there's a priority to help people outside of our country, you could come up with it. But you can't help home. You're supposed to take care of home first, right? Now, another slap in the face is the migrants.
Right.
Ukraine's one, and here's now a migrant. You helping everyone but home.
Right.
You got homeless people right here. The migrants, guess what? Every one of those people in those tents are going to go into an apartment.
Right.
We still got people suffering 3-4 years in the shelter with families. They can't get out yet.
Absolutely. America is literally eating.
New York City is a crying shame.
America's literally eating her citizens. Yeah. And there's no accountability. And believe it or not, this is being done, and this is my issue. This is being under Democratic watch. These are Democrats that are doing this.
You, we can't go by
you
parties. You
understand? These are Democrats that are doing this.
We can't go by parties.
Right.
Parties mean only you have party names.
Right.
It goes by the individuals. You could always look at history and say, well, we had a good elected official here. We had one here. Like you could say about Kennedy, John F. K., right? People say this and that, but there's good things you could point to about him, right? Like the Cuban Missile Crisis and so on and so on. He said he didn't just want to outright bomb Cuba like that. So they did. That's what the movie Red October was about, when they used the tactic of surrounding them with the ships, So that did the job. Instead of them he didn't want to kill the Cubans. He didn't want to bomb them. So he used another tactic that worked for him, and they was able to withdraw without having to kill anybody.
It's funny that you say that, because I was actually, you must be in my head. Because what I was telling you about, what I was trying to say about the Ukraine and Russia, that whole conflict.
Yeah.
How did America feel when we had missiles in Cuba pointing at us? We didn't like it, right?
No, we didn't like it.
They were poking the bear. It's the same allegory. It's the same exact thing.
Like it.
Do you know how close Ukraine is to Russia? And they're going to be part of NATO and now have missiles and stuff. But they do that to each other. I don't want to make it just sound like it's America, because Russia and China does the same thing to America too. So like even with the and I want you to Google all of this stuff I'm telling you. Those battleships that were off the coast of Alaska.
Yeah.
You're poking they do it to each other. But I'm not saying it justifies what's happening, but it puts content to it. Now, my whole thing is, this looks like it's going to drag on for years, like as long as the Afghanistan war. Like 10 years.
It's going to go on for a long time.
We're going to keep pumping billions.
It's going to be.
Are we going to continue pumping billions into this?
But that's why I think there's an inflation going on in America.
And that's what I was going to talk about on a.
So who's going to pay for that?
We are. We're
giving our money to fuel outside. What about the homelessness and everything in our country?
Right. And this is why I believe foundational Black Americans should be exempt from all of this, because we didn't. And it's crazy because we signed up for every single war, from the Revolutionary War to China not going into Taiwan yet, but it will.
No, we should have followed Marcus Garvey.
Really?
He tried when he asked for separation. You know, at the time.
I'm not trying to go. This is my country, man.
Well, but at the time, because he said we wasn't. No, we don't have to. But he's saying for those who wanted to leave, there was a time to pull out.
Right.
You're not getting justice here. It's still our country, but we're still not getting justice, and they still don't want to give justice.
Right.
You know.
I don't do the whole Pan-Africanism.
And guess what? It was not the Europeans' country.
Right. This is our country.
Yeah. It's not their country.
You know,
those are migrants here, bro.
You want to hear something? The Trail of Tears?
Yeah. Yes, I know it.
The Trail of Tears, right? Between 40 and 60% of the people that walk the Trail of Tears could be classified as black or African American.
Yeah.
So we are the real Native Americans.
Natives, of course.
They do.
Of course.
They've assumed the identity. You know, that's what they do.
Go to Mississippi, down by the Mississippi River, and see those people who was original born there. They did not come from Africa. There was dark-skinned Indians there.
Sure.
You know, St. Louis, same thing. You know.
Yeah, sure.
So,
no, but I mean, even the various names. When you look at the various tribes, Blackfoot. Creek.
My mother's father was a black.
These are names that the Europeans identified them as. So their feet is black, Blackfoot. They didn't give them that. They didn't name themselves that.
Right.
So I mean, it's right. Here's another interesting point. When Nat Turner had his slave rebellion, you know, they couldn't find him for almost a year. Someone told on him. And that's how they found him. And
not surprised.
But the reason they couldn't find him is because Nat Turner was hiding amongst the Nottoway tribe. So if he was hiding amongst the Nottoway tribe, what color were the Nottoways?
Well, you got to understand, even those who came over in slavery, who fled, when they got to America, a lot of them got refuge amongst the native tribes and territory. They took them in.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the mating with the natives, and that's why you have a lot of who you have today. And
well, that's a part of it.
But they were, it's part. But because they took us in because they was on the side of right.
You had, but you also had the original people. So when you look at these Red Indians, these Mongoloid Indians. These are Asians that came into the Americans during the Warrior and Ice Age, and they mixed with the original people, which were black people.
It would make sense.
They mixed with the original people, which were black people. They were called the Folsom people, Folsom, and you know, on a federal level, we've named a lot of things Folsom. There's a Folsom Penitentiary. So it's very documented that the original people here were black people.
Oh no,
it's very documented.
It's a fact.
But you know, we gotta spin the narrative that I don't know.
How do you say that it was other than that when the original first started from a certain a race of people? You know.
Yeah.
So how could original somewhere else be other than that?
Right.
You know.
And if you look up Aborigine, if you look up Aborigine Fiji, right?
Fiji,
not Aboriginal, Aborigine, or indigenous, and look up the Aborigine or indigenous Fiji, or China, Korea. You'll always see black people. You know what I mean? Now, do we all come from Africa? Yeah, we all come from Africa, right? But someone from the Fiji Islands will tell you, I'm Fiji. Yeah, I'm an American, bro. I'm an American before America said I was an American. I was an American when this place was Turtle Island. You know, like you said, they're the guests.
Well,
but you know, we'll take a real quick commercial break. I didn't know time's flying that quick. We'll be right back. Having fun. Cap or no cap, we'll be right back.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
We're back. Time flies. We out here having fun. We chopping up some good game. I want to thank my brother Eric Stevenson for being on here today. Federally, inflation is what it was, and I think it's just going to continue. Look for orange juice, a container of orange juice, to be about $10.
Yes,
so
it's going to.
And it's crazy. If you listen to Dr. Claude Anderson, everything he said about our condition is. I'm looking at it. I was like, this man is brilliant. Yeah. Dr. Claude Anderson, I love you so much, man. You like one of our I want to.
What was his favorite book? He had a couple of books out. I mean, but one was a real popular one. What was it?
And I have
he had a few of them out.
Yeah.
But one was like really, really at the time. I remember back in like the 90s when it was out, everybody was talking about it. And, I forget the name, but.
And it's he's a veteran too,
Is he?
He's a Korean War vet, like
Wow.
like your godfather.
Wow.
Speaking of Korean War veterans, your godfather was an amazing human being, man.
Yes, right.
May
he rest in peace.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Archie, and his family. I'll do everything on my end to keep his legacy alive. I promise you that. I was first introduced to him
By doing the works.
By doing the work. Because he was very active.
By doing the works.
Yep.
He was active until the day he was in his hospital bed.
Right.
And he was still talking about improving life for veterans.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sure was. Shout out to him.
Struggle continues.
The struggle continues. Yes. But on a state level, what has the state ever done did they ever do anything specifically for veterans, to your knowledge? Because my problem with the current governor is I'm not voting for her. I'm voting for Lee Zeldin. That's his last name. And the reason why I'm voting for Lee Zeldin is because two reasons. He specifically said he's going to address veteran issues, and I never heard that from Hopu, whatever her name is. And the second, he is a vet himself. He's a veteran himself. So, and this man looked me in my face and told me, he said, I have a specific plan for veterans that he wants to unveil. And I think he was at that meeting. Yeah. I had to explain to him at first, we're exceptional people, Well,
he's an ex-veteran himself, like you said.
Right.
So,
and we need to run to our exception, not run away from it. But on a state level, I never understood. I heard that they had state housing for veterans, and I don't know if that's to be true or not. Did you?
Well, there is some housing in New York State that monies from the state was put in specifically to say it was all for veterans. I'm not sure, but for a percentage to be ex-veterans. But a lot of that was put up north,
away from
and up in those northern parts of New York
that we don't frequent.
Well, of course, and but down here is where the concentration of veterans are. This is where the population is. This is where the help is needed.
See, I never understood this. Maybe you could. So say I'm homeless, right? And I'm in a New York City shelter, and they give me a City FEPS voucher, right? Why can't the state say, hey, we're assuming some of the responsibility for this homeless crisis. You can use it shouldn't be a City FEPS voucher. It should be state thefts. You should have the option of living in a city or a state.
Yeah, why not? But they're saying because you're there, then the city should be the ones responsible for you. But yet you fought for the whole country.
Right.
You didn't fight for New York City. You didn't fight for New York State. You fought for the United States of America.
Right.
Right. So you should at least have that option in the state that you're housed in to say whether you want to be in the city or somewhere throughout the state. You might be able to live in an upstate in a better community and do better for yourself.
Right.
So I would agree that they should move those barriers of holding you in one location.
In one location.
Yeah.
But what I also would like to do, see, you can't address the homeless crisis until you address gentrification. Gentrification is ethnic cleansing American style.
It's about business, money,
Right.
clean out the people,
And
bringing in and making and building for another people.
right.
And that's what's going on. But what do we, our politicians are at the will. I don't have to start to call names, but people are aware, people in the communities are aware, but until they empower themselves and wake up, some things are already done and you're not going to undo, but moving on, we need to pay attention to keep our eyes on the prize of what's ahead of us. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Harlem, the rebuilding of
Harlem's done. They took it
better, but my thing is this: had it been a priority and they wanted to put money in 20 years ago, they could have done it. But it wasn't done.
It's so funny you say that.
It wasn't done, and we know the reason why it wasn't done, right? But now all of a sudden money pops out and so on. The people are priced out. They're renovating buildings better now. It looks nice. They're putting cafe restaurants now on 116th Street that you never had, in streets that was all drug plagued now has beautiful restaurants there and so on. And you go there, you look, you feel like you're a stranger. Like, could you walk? Could you go here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
When 27 years ago, I lived in Harlem. Right?
Wow.
And I lived
so
on.
At that time compared to now. Yeah.
Well, it's going to talk to your point. When I lived on 116th between 5th and 6th. I was right near Marcus Garvey Park.
Oh,
and I would go through the park sometime to get home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would always see like hypodermic needles, crack valves. I'm like, gosh, they don't have no money to fix this up.
Yeah.
And when you go there now, right, it's green. You got clean drinking water. You got they built an amphitheater.
Yeah, very nice.
And so it's not that they don't have money to build it up. They don't have money to build it up for us. Oh. And so and this is why we deserve to be in a protective class.
Well, that's why
because we could do for ourselves.
Yes.
I don't need permission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we can literally put ourselves in a protective class too. You know?
Yes.
So it's just so many ways. Before we wrap this up, let me ask you a question. Kanye West. I'm sorry. I don't want to disparage this man's name. He changed his name legally. Mm-hmm. And so, what is your thoughts on him, on the comments that he made as it pertains to the Jewish community?
What exactly were the comments?
Well, he was just saying basically Jews run everything, and they're ahead. They have this cancel culture. The reason you don't find too many, and I'm paraphrasing, but the reason you don't have too many Jewish rappers is because they're the owners. So and he used all of these derogatory words, right, to describe what a young black rapper would feel on a record, and said that's anti-Semitic. And so the question is he crazy or genius?
Well, look, I didn't, to me, I know what happened, but I didn't hear exactly the words he said. Mm-hmm. I only heard what the TV said and so on. I didn't even go look into it because I'm like, right? Yeah, I heard the sound bite because I'm like, I mean, he said something, but it's like we've been through this before with other people and other things. So what did he say that was so offensive now? The fact that he's black and powerful, that he's black and wealthy. Now all of a sudden, there's a way to start to pull the plug. So we started by something he says because he's speaking out of line or out of the norm. I don't know exactly what he said. Like I said,
and I'm going by sound bites because I didn't see all of. I didn't see all of the interview.
But I say like this, he has a right to express himself as how he feels.
First Amendment right,
like anybody has. What he said, if it was correct or not correct, I don't know. But he has his right to speak. He's always been an independent person as to when he was becoming political. He wasn't in bed with the Democrats, sort of say. He was looking at whether he's going to go Republican or Democrat. He was having conversations with Donald Trump. He was able to help get some people released from.
But a lot of people forget he attacked George Bush too. Remember when he sat up there and said,
he's not.
He said
he's not.
George Bush don't like black people.
He's
Remember
not
that?
locked to any side.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you're able to position yourself financially enough, you could be your own person, especially when it comes to politics. But the thing is, when you attack certain groups of people, they will come at you. I
just don't think that I don't think the country knows how to deal with him right now, because what they're doing by dropping him is proving to his point. They're proving.
Well,
they're proving his point correct.
Well,
so it's like what do I do? But you got to also say, well, he's gotten $10 million worth of free publicity.
You see what it is, and the thing about it is, had it been the other way around, other people would have had many people come to their rescue,
right,
or stand with them,
right.
Like the guy from the San Francisco 49ers. What's his name?
I know you talk about oh my God, what's his name?
With the afro.
I know you talk about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, right. Like when he took his time out and he put his fist up and he did what he did, right? And some joined him, but a lot of people resisted him and didn't come to his aid.
They sacrificed him.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the only one that did that.
No, right, but he stood his ground. And he rightfully stood his ground. But because he was out of the norm, same thing. So Kanye's one person, but what about all the many people before Kanye?
They've done it right. Yeah.
He's no different than the line of all of our other leaders and people who were attacked and stuff when they became independent and said something out of the norm. People want to control you.
Yeah.
And
they can if you let them.
Yeah, but it's a time that he feels that, he's not going to have this choke grip on him, and he's going to take it off his throat, and he's going to say, no, I'm not going to allow you to choke me anymore. I'm going to be my own man, and I'm going to be me. If you don't like it, it's like, I don't like it.
Right.
And hey, he's stand up for what he feels he needs to stand up for. What's wrong with it?
Nothing.
What's wrong with it?
That's what men do.
Yeah. And he said, he's tired. He's been through this industry for so long. He's been involved with so many people for so long in the industry who's been gripping him, controlling him, so much contracts. But what they're actually doing now, by thinking they're hurting him, when they say every knock is a boost, now he didn't break the contract with Adidas.
They broke it.
Adidas broke it.
So he has all
you know what they freeze him.
Right.
They lost immediately $200 million.
Right.
And they freed him from a contract that he had more time with.
Right.
So because he didn't terminate it, he's out of it.
Right.
If he wanted to go to Turkey or China or somewhere and make his own sneakers, he could put Adidas out of business.
Right.
And he may think about doing something like that. Who knows?
Who knows? Only time is going to tell
But I think we have a right
him.
under the Constitution. We have a right under our God-given rights to speak how we feel. People want to control how you speak and say
what you say and
what's offensive and not offensive. Who controls that scale to say it's offensive?
He said something that I absolutely believe. He said that our voice is the Jewish voice. I believe that.
Our voice?
Because when you think about it, even civil rights, even the NAACP, that's a Jewish organization.
Yeah, I know that.
You know what I mean? Right. So they are very invested in the things that we do. And that's the reason, and we're going to, I got to bring you back to the show. This is the reason that they have a problem with the Minister Louis Farrakhan, is because he calls it out. He's like, they'll always have one on us. If we're the doctor, if we're the patient, they're the doctor. If we're the tenant, they're the landlord.
They had a book on Amazon
right.
called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews.
Right.
Yeah, but they said this was written by, not the minister, but it was written, it was quotes and things, excerpts taken out by Jewish rabbis.
Right. But you know, it's they don't like to be called out on it.
Look, there's a lot of things we don't know in history until we learn or until it's brought to our attention.
I mean, we in the end, right? We gotta have uncomfortable conversations if we're gonna seek balance.
Exactly.
You know,
and we have to be men about it, and we civilized about it. Right is right. Unless you don't want to face truth, or you're in opposition to truth, and you don't want correction, then you're gonna shy away from it, and you're gonna point fingers.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate
you.
I want you to come back.
Yeah,
on,
we need
please.
to continue to talk.
This hour went quick.
Election day's around the corner.
Yeah. Who do you predicting is going to win the governor's race?
I think it's very tight. Look,
it could go either way.
It could go either way. You have 8 or whatever amount of days. If one person falls down, it's over. Because, people do things in the last minute that could make a mistake that cost them their whole election, like Ross Perot.
Like Ross Perot.
When he said "you people,"
and like Elliot.
They killed him.
Who did Jamal Bowman run against? Elliot Engel.
Oh, Engel, yeah.
He had that hot mic on.
Yeah.
He said I wouldn't even be here if I wasn't.
And that destroyed him.
Right.
Even with his own people.
Right. So.
And that Ross Perot, he was a billionaire, third party. He would look like he was going to be the president until he called black people, referred to us as you people.
Right.
And he killed them.
Right.
So, vote your conscience, but keep in mind, stay tuned. We need to focus on the third political party. Forget the Democrats, forget the Republicans. Let's create a third party. Let that conversation be what we talk about and focus on. And let's focus on a true party for our life, a third party. The Dems failed us, Republicans failed us. We need a new system. And let that system be in conjunction, in line with the laws of God.
I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna. I want to thank Millennium 24 for giving me this opportunity to have this platform. I also want to tell you, download us. We're on Apple, Spotify. We're on Androids. Go to Millennium 24 TV. Download us right now, and we'll be back next week. Thanks for having us, and I'll see you next week. Hold on.